You're live.
Good morning, everyone. I am Lady Quiana Brown, and I'm joined with Overseer Rose Robinson. And on this morning, we're going to talk about 501c3, the benefits of church structure, and grant writing.
So this morning, I am going to talk to you about 501c3, the benefits of it, and the church structure. So for the next few minutes, I want to discuss with you some benefits of having the status and to provide you with some valuable information about how this tool will assist you in calculating your vision from the drawing board from your heart to inception. Now, I'm a firm believer and witness it. There is wealth in the marketplace to fund the vision that God has given you and your ministry. And one of the tools necessary for accessing these resources is for your church or organization to gain what IRS calls a 501c3 status. It is not the only tool, but it's a good tool to have when financial or material exchange is happening in the marketplace. There are some instances now when individuals are deciding, and I said some instances when individuals are deciding where to plant or put a charitable donation, they will look for foundations or ministries or individuals with a 501(c)(3) status. Now, I don't have very long, but I want to share this real life example of this. In Maryland, there was a ministry that had the 501(c)(3) status. A developer actually donated a building to them because the store that was in this building closed. Now, the developer gave this ministry the building, paid off. There was nothing. They just transferred the title to him. And the ministry was able to secure a loan and then renovate the building for the church. And I'm a firm believer that that kind of favor and grace has been given to us in this season. But however, we must align ourselves and posture ourselves to receive these kind of blessings. I also believe there's grace on your life and there is favor on your life to receive wealth from the marketplace and from individuals. And the solution, you are the solution to a lot of the plagues and woes that go on in the earth. It's locked up in your spirit. And one of the things when we want to bring things into inception, or to calculate your vision from your spirit to actualization, we have to have structure. And that structure means that you have to have your books right. You have to have your books update. It would be good to have an accountant. And so what is that how does that 501c3 structure help you? It's a 503(c) simply means this: it means your organization has been approved by the Internal Revenue Service as a tax exempt charitable organization. And by charitable, I use that word loosely here because it means that your organization or your church has been established for religious, educational, charitable, scientific, there's just a whole plethora of things that you can have a 501c3 for under the charitable umbrella. Now, I'm going to just share with you briefly some benefits of having that 501(c)(3) status, and some of those benefits are this. Um, a church has to have a 501(c)(3) status in order to have group exemptions for the branches or extensions under it. For example, if you have a fellowship or an organization, you can obtain group exemptions for churches under your fellowship or organization. It is also beneficial for clergy with their own personal ministries to have a 501c3. By that, I mean, if let me just use myself as example, Rose Robinson Ministries, Inc., a 501c3 ministry. You can also move into the field of philanthropic and do some things like Robinson Foundation, philanthropy, and do some things like Robinson Foundation or for gifted girls. Even if you're doing business as a DBA, 501c3 is beneficial for you. Another benefit is tax exemptions. You're exempted from federal, local property sales and payroll taxes. And the last one I want to share with you is when your organization goes to get a bank, go to the bank and apply for loans. The bank is going to want to see if you have a 501c3 status. Now, last thing is this: corporations, even big box stores, are big donors to nonprofit organizations. Although having this status will work in your favor in the corporate sector, donors are still allowed to claim a charitable deduction for donations to a church that meets the Section 5013C requirements, even though the church has neither sought nor received IRS recognition that is tax exempt. I'm going to say this again: the 5013C requirements are automatically given to your church, even though the IRS has not received an application from your church or your ministry for a tax exempt status. Listen, there is money out there in the marketplace that is available to you. There is money out there that can be yours to fund your vision, can be yours to fund different things that you're doing. I want to just share this status and share this information, and then I'm going to turn it over to Lady Quiana Brown. Our own ministry, we are 501(c). We have the 501(c) status, and we were the building we were in prior to where we are needed a lot of renovation, so we were able to write a letter to this big box home improvement store and attach a copy of our 501(c) status. We took these items to this big box home improvement store, and we were able to secure with no money. I want to say this again: no money. This home improvement store donated toilets, sinks, and all the plumbing items we needed to build out bathrooms for our in that location we were having church at that time. We did this with no money. We were given these items with no money. We received these just by having a tax exempt, a 501(c) status letter attached to a request. Um, you can do the same thing. And also, I want to dispel one myth. We are here to help you. It's not necessarily you need to go to an attorney to get this done. God has gifted us with people in the kingdom that will help you get this done. So, with that said, I'm going to turn this over to Lady Quiana, who is going to help you, um, and we'll discuss some grants. And so, also, when I also want to point out that the 501(c) status is needed when you're applying for these grants, but she's going to go more into that with you when she discuss grants. But again, I want to share with you that having this 501(c) status can do great things for your church, your organization, even your personal ministries. And regardless, you can say, I have a 501(c) for, and I'm using my name again, Rose Robinson Foundation. So again, I'm going to turn this over to Lady Quiana, and she's going to talk to you about grants. Lady Quiana?
Thank you so much. So everything that Overseer Rose Robinson said is accurate, and it is true. Someone said that I'm and it can someone let me know? Can everyone hear me? Well, come back.
Okay, so as Lady Kiana was talking to you, when she was mentioning the foundations, where there is, as I mentioned before, um, that you can a DBA is good for your church because there are a lot of organizations, as she stated before, that will not give to a church. They will not give to the church, but if the church creates a DBA, for example, you can have um, Church of Faith, and then doing business as um, uh, uh, um, a boys outreach, and using that example, the boys out there is money out there, and she's going to talk about there's money out there for programs for young boys. There are programs out there, literacy. If your church can do a DBA for literacy, and there is money out there for literacy programs. If your church decides to do a daycare, there is funding even from the state for daycares, and all there are after school programs. So there are all kinds of programs that are available for you if you these DBAs can assist you. Like she has stated before, sometimes people won't give to a church because they but it, if God has given you a ministry, if God has given you a charitable organization, then you can use that charitable organization, glory to God, to benefit communities. And this is another way to build your ministry as well. These grants, they assist you in reaching out to your communities. We're told to go into Samaria, Jerusalem, and throughout all the earth. And how do we reach them? We reach them through outreach, not on with programs. So again, I'm going to turn this over. She's going to be using my camera, but I'm going to turn this over once again to Lady Quiana Brown.
Sorry for all the technical difficulties, but again, if you have a nonprofit organization under the umbrella of your church, you are eligible to apply for various grants. If you have live in a food desert, if you need a food pantry to get started, if you need assistance with renovations on your building, if you need renovations internal and externally, so like in your community, if there are some projects that you would like to complete that are in and around the community where your church is, you're eligible to apply for grants and to actually get funding. Now, some funders will say that they do not want to deal with churches per se. So that's when the DBA comes into effect, the doing business as. So you would just create a new business underneath of your church's umbrella, and it could be Kingdom Connection Outreach organization. And so any grants that you would apply for would be under that Kingdom Connection Outreach umbrella. And so that would open you up. If you have entities in your community, such as seniors, if you want to do like some senior programming, assist with housing, there's funds available for that. If you have a youth program that you want to get started, all you have to do is just create another program underneath of your church's umbrella, and you will be eligible for funding. There are a lot of different organizations that actually fund situations such as education. There's money available for youth programs. If you want to run a summer camp, if you want to run an after school enrichment program, you just want to make sure that you have all of your documentation in line. When it comes to writing a grant or creating just the layout and the foundation for a grant, you want to make sure that you have your tax documents in hand. You want to make sure that you have access to an accountant so that way you can create an actual budget. Most grant applications require you to have an itemized budget list for any type of programming that you plan to do, even if it's renovations. If you're looking to do renovations in your church, you have to make sure that you have itemized receipts. You have to make sure that you have had some type of contractor to come out and just to let you know how much these different situations, how much, like if you want to replace the floors in your church, you have to make sure that you have a couple different quotes from say Home Depot or Lowe's, so that way you have something to compare to. If your church brings in revenue or your business brings in revenue of over $50,000 a year, you have to make sure that you have a 990 completed, and you can have that completed by way of an auditor. That's just a simple form just to show that someone has actually looked at your financials to make sure that everything is in place and intact. A lot of times people look at creating a grant and they say, oh, it's so much paperwork. I just don't want to do it. But it's actually not. Like submitting grants gives you have a checklist that you can go by. And on that checklist, it will tell you everything that you need. Hopefully, your organization has a mission and a vision statement that's priority. If you are, let's just use a youth program, for example, if you're looking to start a mentoring program for your community, then you would have to have a quote unquote business plan. Your business plan does not have to be detailed, but you do have to outline how you are going to proceed. So the what, where, how, and when, and why. And that's basically, you just answer those questions and draft a narrative. And that is basically your business plan in essence. And that is what you would submit as far as your grant is concerned. In terms of youth programs, you would have to have a resume for any staff that you would tend to hire, just to show that they are actually capable and qualified to perform those services. You would need to have, again, a budget to show if these individuals will be paid or any expenses that you plan to have incurred throughout the year or the life of the grant. And then after you actually receive the funding, sometimes you have to submit a report. That report might have to be submitted within 6 months of receiving the funding or within a year. And basically, you would just have to show how you're actually using the money. It's just checks and balances. And for me, I think that it's important and it's critical because you want to be able to show that you are honestly using the funds, because you never want someone to come back and try to audit you, and then you have to end up paying that money back. And then it would also mess you up for future funding from that funder. If you have any questions, I guess at this time you can put them in the chat, and me and Overseer Rose Robinson can try to answer them for you. Or if you don't have any questions, we can enter our information into the chat, and you can feel free to send us an email, or you can send us a message on Facebook if you're connected, and we can try to get back to you. And basically, so step one would always be to make sure that you have that 501c3 in place for your organization, and then we can marry the two. So the 501c3 is critical for funding and grant writing. And I don't see any questions popping up. So if there be nothing further, I think that we are done for the morning. Again, if you have any questions, Overseer Rose Robinson is the guru at the 501c3. She will make sure that all of your paperwork is intact, every I dotted and every T crossed. As you know, she is all about business, and she will make sure that your paperwork is accurate and will not kick back. It's nothing worse than trying to apply for a grant and then you find out that, you know what, I'm really not a nonprofit. I really don't have the status. I really don't. I'm missing a document and I didn't even know that I was missing it. So, it's great to have someone that is able to do that for you. And then when it comes to the grants, I'm not going to write a grant for you that you don't qualify for. And that happens a lot. A lot of times we don't read the fine print. We don't read the grant requirements. We don't read, what's due. We see $100,000 grant and we want to go after it. However, you have to make sure that you qualify. You have to qualify for the grant. Like you can't just go after every grant that's available. It has to fit. Like your organization has to fit. It's like a puzzle piece. There's no way around it. But there is money in the kingdom. There is money for everything that your organization, that your church is seeking out to do. Our community, we just have to go after it. So if you don't have any other questions or no comments, we thank you and we hope to see you here at the Kingdom Connection Fellowship Winter Leadership Conference.